Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Ladd, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 105. It feels like ages since I've done one of these because I last recorded episode 102 with Pete, and since then I've been away on holiday for 2 weeks, and I know that that Pete and Paul have recorded 2 episodes while I've been away. So we are back now. It's myself and Paul, who I'll introduce you to in a minute. And we have a very special guest with us today. Pete is actually away on holiday this week. It's that time of year. So he's away. I know he's been walking up Snowdon with the dog, and he's away and he's having lots of nice beers in country pubs and things like that. So he's having a great time from what I can see. And he will be back with us next week. So Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. Yeah. How are you coping with the fact that the last 2 episodes of me and Pete were the highest rated ones we've had?
Although that at the time of recording, they haven't actually aired.
Oh,
so I know that's purely trying to rile me, and it's a lie.
Yeah. I'm just trying to push my percentage of attendance a bit higher. I was hoping that if you're not there, then that boosts my attendance on the podcast, which is dropping, you see.
Yeah, but you've been very consistent for the last 5 episodes, 6 episodes, something like that.
Great. Yeah. You've been doing it 2 years.
Dear me. How are you coping with the new heat wave in London? Are you okay?
Oh, it's okay. I mean, I've got an air-conditioned studio, so I spend most of the time in there, so it's all right. Everyone's actually quite relieved when they come in because it's kind of nice and cool. But yeah, it's all right. It's nice. It gets a bit sweaty in the evenings, doesn't it? So you just get in there, have a cold bath.
I was training in an air-conditioned gym out in Crete for 2 weeks, which was lovely. We don't have air conditioning, do we, Lauren?
No, we don't.
Well, you got a big space. It'll be about 300 grand air conditioning.
Oh God, yeah. There's no, yeah. And for the amount of time you'd actually have it on a year, and I'd rather open the doors up. But on the days where it is sort of 30 degrees, it is 30 degrees in the gym as well, so it's kind of it's very, very warm.
What do? You just kind of bring around a little spray, and I suppose you could get a workout if you had someone with a big kind of fan. People, like when people are resting in intervals, what do they call it? Fast and loose. You can just have someone fanning the other person while they're doing their work set
with a large kind of leaf, like ancient Egypt or something.
It's just integrated as part of the workout.
Yeah, it's an idea. Okay. We will introduce you now to our guest for episode 105, who I'll give you a little bit of background, but it is Lauren Emery. Hello, Lauren.
Hello.
It's lovely to see you, Lauren. I do see you most days of the week anyway, but it's great to have Lauren on the show. I was talking to a member of Unique Results who's a kind of a regular listener, Steve Bush, this morning, and we were talking actually about the Ainsley Duncombe episode about the diabetes, and I've spoken to a few people recently, and people sort of say that some of the episodes they get the most from, or they resonate more, I suppose, and relate to more, with the episodes where we speak to people who are not career trainers, they're not kind of business people in the fitness sector, but they're kind of, I'll use the little quotations, normal people who train and exercise and get something and have changed their life through exercise and training. And I'd kind of class Lauren in that broad category, although she has, as we'll find out, she's done lots of certifications and qualifications herself now as well, even though it's not her kind of job or career at the moment. She's someone who's we'll go into it. We'll discuss as we go, and we'll find out about Lauren's journey. So how are you doing today, Lauren? I know you've trained this lunchtime, haven't you? And
I'm good. It was all of 30 degrees in that gym today. So it's hot in there. So I'm a little bit shiny and sweaty still because it wasn't that long ago.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah.
Excellent.
It's just James. You just cheap when it comes to aircon. Is that it? Yeah.
Well, I don't have it, so I use I call it nature's aircon when I open up the shutters and open the doors. But when there's no air movement at all, it's. I mean, I was spinning this morning at about 7:15 a.m. and it was probably like over 25 degrees then, so it was very, very warm. But you get a good sweat on and you sweat out some of the toxins and stuff, so it's not bad. I'll sell all the positives.
Yeah, people survived before air conditioning, didn't they?
They did. People survived before air conditioning, indeed. So Lauren, just if you can just, I mean, I've known you for a number of years now, but again, like people we have on this podcast, when you actually have the opportunity to sit down and talk to someone for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever, you kind of find out stuff about them that maybe you didn't know before, or different perspectives or different little things here and there. And obviously most people listening to the podcast won't know you. So do you just want to tell us sort of like a little bit about yourself, maybe, how old you are now, what you do for a living, what your background's been like, if you've always been sporty or into exercise, and the kind of journey that you've got on that's kind of got you to here. And Paul and myself will interject with questions as and when they come up, if that's okay.
Sure. So I'm Lauren. I'm 37, soon to be 38 in October. I am chief accountant of a ship owning company in London, and a kettlebell sport athlete. So yeah. That's my
the next question: have you always been a kettlebell sport athlete?
No, certainly not.
Okay. So that's really interesting that you've I mean, we'll obviously we'll go back further than that and get some more detail, obviously. But when the last podcast that I recorded, 102 with Pete, we kind of talked about, which hasn't actually, you won't have heard it yet, but we talk about when people actually, their identity and their character actually shifts, so that, like, you introduced yourself as a kettlebell sport athlete, so you have actually now embodied that and embraced that, and it's become a part of who you are, and it, even in the way you introduce yourself. So that is, if people have listened to episode 102, that's kind of the third layer of actually, I suppose, self-actualization, of actually embodying and identifying as someone who does whatever. So that's fantastic. So what were you like when you were so you're 37 now, soon to be 38? What were you like, going through school, going through, as a teenager, early 20s? Were you particularly sporty, that sort of thing?
No, in honesty, no, I've never really been very sporty. I've been to a lot of gyms over time, and joined up for the year and done a month or so and then quit. No, to be honest, not at all sporty, not at all active. My job up until lockdown was 5 days a week in London. It was a very sociable job, so I was out drinking to excess, 2, maybe even 3 days a week, 3 nights a week, which meant you put on a lot of weight, you don't get any sleep, always tired, always just hungover, to be honest, always just drained. Socially smoking a little bit when I drank too much, because other people smoked. So if everyone's outside, you go outside with them. It was a very different lifestyle to what I've got now, that's for sure. Yeah. And
I think Pete mentioned to me, I think it might have been on one of the podcasts or in a conversation, that because you I think it might have been at the David Keown Day or something, he saw a picture of you on the wall at the gym, which wasn't taken like ages ago. It was only like a couple of years back, and how much different you are now. And people kind of probably, and a lot of people get this, that they see someone like yourself now who's really into training, and you're training regularly, and now you're competing as well. And they kind of think, oh, I just thought you'd kind of always been like that. You'd always been into training. And he obviously could visibly see from the photograph a couple of years back to how you are now, that you kind of look very different with all the training as well. So what you said you kind of joined gyms over the years and did a month and then stopped. I suppose kind of why was that, or over what kind of period of time did you do that, and then what changed? What's the, because a lot of people are probably in that position, where they go to, they've tried and they stop, they start, they stop, they stop, they stop, and they kind of go through this pattern of keep trying and keep kind of giving up, as it were.
So I probably started doing it around the age of 18, and right up until I joined Unique Results 3.5 years ago. So I think you feel like you should go to the gym, so you sign up for it, and then you go there, you don't know how to use any of the equipment. I was overweight, I was tired from work, and no one knows that you've been or not, so you could tell people you've been to the gym, but you haven't really been to the gym. And well, you should exercise. I never enjoyed it. I didn't know how to use anything. I think that was the bigger problem, is you don't know how to use any of the equipment. I'd never touched a barbell, and the machines just, my coordination's not brilliant, and the thought of working out how to use it was just too much. I just didn't, and I didn't enjoy it, if I'm honest.
So you at the beginning, before you even started doing any health and fitness, you were someone who kind of gone through typical kind of, you'd gone through school, done PE whenever you were told to do it. And then really, once you got into professional life, it never really attended to your health in any way. It was just, you just went out with your friends, ate whenever you felt like eating. You'd occasionally walk around. You were commuting, obviously, and have a, working in accountancy. I suspect you're probably sitting at a desk quite a lot. So you kind of got that momentum in one direction. What kind of happened? Was there a catalyst? Was there an event? Was there someone said something? What made you start making that decision?
I was getting bored. So for about 6 months before I joined Unique Results, I was just saying, like, to colleagues and stuff, that we were just going out drinking for the sake of it, and we were just always tired, all of us, and it wasn't fun anymore. We weren't as young as we were. You can't get by with as little sleep as you were when you were younger, and just feeling under the weather pretty much all the time, and just knowing that I didn't really want to do it.
What did they do? Did they have a similar feeling, or was it just you and were you just the one thinking about this?
Just me, and it still is just me, unfortunately.
So why do you think you? Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, so are they that group of friends that you used to go out drinking with? I know things are a bit different now. Not everyone's in London, maybe 5 days a week, but that group of friends are still doing that same thing and got that same lifestyle, as far as you know. Yeah,
they do. They do.
Yeah.
I mean, so you looking at that? What do you think when you see that?
I miss it. I'm not going to lie. Like, I miss just being able to go out when I want to go out and do what I want to do. And especially at the moment, it's competition season for me with Kettlebell Sport. So I don't have the choice of just doing what I want to do. I've got commitments that I have to fulfill at the moment. So I can't really do it. And I get called boring sometimes, but it's not forever.
I don't get that. Like, you're the one going out there doing these crazy events.
Yeah.
How is that boring?
Because it's not the lifestyle that they have. I can't just go out and get drunk on a Tuesday because that's when we're going out. It's not that easy anymore.
It's interesting because you say you can't do that and you can't just go to the pub, but obviously you can, because you've got free will. But you've chosen. This is what's really interesting. You've chosen a different path for yourself, haven't you? But it shows the level of commitment and discipline that you have, it has become now, well, I can't do that because this is more important to me. You know what I mean? Like, that what you're doing now is more important to you than going and sitting in the pub and having 5 pints with your friends or whatever. So that again is a different level of kind of identifying as you're a different person now. You're not just doing different things, you are a different person, which is really interesting, because it's been this change over the course of, if we look at your whole life of 38 years, this change has actually happened fairly recently, hasn't it? It's really in the last sort of, say, 3 years or something, of your life that it's totally changed. And I know that obviously now you're so you started training, and things were obviously different because you stuck doing something for more than a month. You know, you kind of got into the habit and the routine of training and things. And what was different this last time? I know we'll move into, you know, when you kind of connected with Finn, friend of the show, Finn Bartulan, and, you know, you kind of got into kettlebell sport and you started being, you know, doing the strong first stuff and all the rest of it as well. But initially, what kind of made it, what was different for you in your head that made this not just another, you know, 1 month attempt and then give up again?
There's a lot more accountability where we are, like a Unique Result. So I had a personal trainer who I was accountable to. And I don't know, I just think it was the right time for me. I'd sort of done what I wanted to do, like all the socialize, like the heavy socializing side of things. I was looking to settle down somewhere, live somewhere. I've moved house a lot since being an adult. I've moved house maybe every 2 years since I was 18, and finally moved to Chelmsford 4 years ago, maybe. This is the first place I've ever stuck. So I think I was just ready to settle a bit more. And, you know, I'm getting older. It's like, no, it's easy to go out and get like 4 hours sleep and then do it all again the next day. You know?
Well, let's caveat that with the fact if you're getting older, most people at any age can't do what you're doing. You know, in most of their physical condition, put that in front of an 18-year-old, you know, do what you're doing with an 18-year-old rugby player, you know, male rugby player, and they struggle to do anything like what you're doing. So, you know, you're obviously taking yourself into the best shape of your life. Is that, if you were to, you know, James used the word path before, path you're on. I mean, has that path been laid out, or is it just one that's kind of meandered? Well, where you are now, is that by design?
Not really, I'll be honest. I joined Unique Results, like the gym, just because I was joining a gym again. The gym I was using closed down, so I was just looking for another gym. And I don't know what. It just, the people that came into my life seem to have shaped it in that direction, and now I'm sort of shaping it myself. But I think it was more to do with the people around me.
I mean, there is that phrase, you know, if you want to get good at walking, join a rambling group, you know. And I suppose, James, and you can answer this better than me because obviously it's your business, but, you know, the big aspect of what you do is the community, isn't it?
Yeah, it is definitely the community is a big part, and I think that's probably you know, Lauren came into it, and it's very friendly. It is very different in terms of, like Lauren said before, people wouldn't necessarily know if you've been to a regular gym, or maybe you'd sneak in, you do a workout, you'd leave. Maybe people wouldn't talk to you, but you know, it's very different. And now, obviously, you know, Lauren's become a bit of a local celebrity, you know, within the gym, or certainly, you know, someone who's known, you know, like everyone knows who she is, and it's lovely, you know. And she got awarded like a member of the month a couple of years back, and then got voted by the members as member of the year for, was that 20 is the one where we were closed, 2020, 21,
yeah,
no, it's 19, 20.
Yeah, it must have been 20. We
like
were
an
closed.
old people's home is.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the year. No, I remember because it was the year that we didn't actually have a proper Christmas night out, did we? So we couldn't give you the thing properly because usually we'd be out, but everywhere was shut. So that would be 2020. So yeah, so it's been different from that point of view. And then you obviously at some stage got more involved in kind of kettlebell training, or you kind of you obviously must have started to have like an affinity with that and started to be drawn to that a little bit more. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think lockdown did that, because we were at home and with very minimal equipment, and kettlebells were what you had at home at that point. So I used them a lot at home for that year, you know, being stuck indoors. Yeah, so I really enjoy them.
Yeah, and then you got very, obviously, you know, got stronger, got more proficient. And then in recent, you know, over the last sort of 12 months, I suppose, you've done the Strong First level 1, you've done the Strong First SFG level 1, you've done the SFG level 2, you're doing the SFL, the barbell cert this November, aren't you?
Yep.
You've also done precision nutrition, level 1 yourself, and you're studying. What are you studying at the moment? You said just before we started recording.
So precision nutrition also do a course called sleep, stress and recovery coaching. So that's all to do with sleep, obviously, stress and mindset and recovery. So nutrition, sleep again, all that sort of stuff. So I should finish that next week, hopefully.
So you're going to get Lauren teaching your clients now?
Well, Lauren already does. Lauren teaches she's been doing a kind of a beginner's course, which has been really, really well received, and it's been excellent. I've been speaking to, like I say, same gentleman I spoke to earlier, Steve Bush, and a few other people have. So it was sort of like a 6-week beginner's course that Lauren's been teaching, which has actually been really well received. And it's sort of holiday season now, so kind of people are away, but I think Lauren's finished the 6 weeks, and now we're going to look to. She's competing in September again, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then we'll probably pick something up more structured again, sort of after that. But yeah, so Lauren's now obviously kind of, I suppose, paying it forward and helping coach other people and spreading her enthusiasm, passion, and knowledge to other people, which is fantastic.
That's how a lot of people start. That's how me and Peter started. By having our own health epiphany or journey, and then getting to the point where we felt like we wanted to, like you say, pay it forwards. The thing is that one I want to bring up is that you talked about getting older, but ironically, you're in a gym where the main demographic is about 20 years older than you. So in many ways, you're one of the youngest. So what is it like when you first turned up and you suddenly saw that actually you were kind of at the bottom end of the demographic there, and many of the people you're training with were in their 50s and possibly even 60s, 70s. So, I mean, what was that for your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was that kind of gym. And in fact, when I joined up, I was speaking to Steph and saying, am I allowed to join? Because I'm only in my 30s. Because I think it was over 40s. So,
did you go in with a fake hair or something like that? with
the rollers on. With the rollers in.
So I always knew it would be an older sort of clientele at the gym, but I quite liked that. I didn't really want like a posers type gym. I wanted a gym where I could properly train and learn to do things.
Yeah.
So I think Unique Results was a good choice for that.
Well, I suppose if you can make someone who's in their 50s incredibly strong and resilient, after years of being at a desk, if you come in with 20 years on those people, you can be, I mean, as you've seen from yourself, you're now at a level where there's performance. So, I mean, given that you're in a level now in your fitness, and most people are just trying to stay fit. Hey, yeah, I'm just doing a bit of fitness, and my blood results are good, or my doctor says I'm doing well and I'm not obese. The competitive element's the next step up. I mean, what's driving you with the competitive element? When you classify yourself as a kettlebell sport athlete, particularly kettlebell sport, it's a pleasurable sport in the aftermath, but not necessarily during. Yeah. So what's driving you to do that?
I'm really competitive, and finding something that I love doing and being able to compete in it is just amazing. And I prefer endurance. I'm not a sort of 1 rep max big lift kind of person. I prefer to do things for longer. Mm-hmm. So it's always appealed to me to do something like that. I always enjoyed like the snatch test out of the TSC and things like that, rather than the lifts and things like that. So for me, it was just a natural sort of thing to do.
And you're doing the pentathlon? Yeah. So that's 5 lifts, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lauren, just for listeners who I mean, people may have listened to previous shows with Finbar and things on, but can you just explain to people what the event or the competition that you take part in is called and what it entails?
Yeah, so it's a Kettlebell Sport pentathlon, which is 5 different lifts, each for 6 minutes at a time, with 5-minute rest in between. For those 6 minutes, you can't put the kettlebell down. If you do, it stops. They stop counting your reps. So there's a clean and press, jerk, a half snatch, and a push press. You can use 5 different weights depending on which exercise you're doing. So you could use up to 5 different sized bells, but ideally you want to go as heavy as possible within the rep range.
And you're scored on kind of the amount of reps you do in that time, and it's multiplied by as well the kind of the weight you use. You get more points the heavier weight you use, obviously, in the reps and stuff.
Yeah, so there's a maximum number of reps you can do for each exercise. So within the 6 minutes, you can do 120 cleans, 60 clean and press. It's going to test me now. 120 jerks, 108 half snatches, and 120 push presses. So you ideally want to go as heavy as you can, but also be able to hit all of those repetitions in the 6 minutes.
Yeah,
and then
so you want to hit
on.
those or get as near as you can to that with the heaviest weight you can use, obviously with good technique, because if you're not doing good technique, they won't be counted, will they? I suppose by the judge.
No, it's a technical reps. So every rep has to look the same.
Yeah, it's mainly pentathlons in the UK, because I myself have been training Kettlebell Sport, but mainly in the biathlon or the long cycle, which are 10-minute competitions. And to be fair, part of it's me not doing enough digging, but it's incredibly hard to find them. So is it mainly pentathlons out there at the moment?
Yeah, so the one I'm doing in September, which is in Northampton, is completely pentathlon. And that's for 80 athletes. They've capped it at 80, although they have had more people wanting to join it. So that'll be 10 people competing per flight or per time over 8 hours. So it's a big competition. It's the biggest there's ever been. So it's a big one coming up.
And that's on the Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, Saturday the 17th of September.
Yeah, you'll have to find out what time nearer the time you'll find out when you're in, won't you? Because I'd love to come and watch that. But I'll probably be working for a bit in the morning, but I can drive up and hopefully you're not on too early. If it's an 8-hour day, yeah, we'll have to have a look and see. Well, you probably want to be on early to get out the way. But if it's a bit later, then I can drive up and watch. So that's good. So in terms of your training, you obviously did the kind of the hard style, strong. I mean, hopefully some of these phrases that we're using now, regular listeners are used to some of these kind of phrases and terminology and things, but you've done the hard style kettlebell certifications, the strong first level 1 and 2. And then I know that you reached out to Finbar Toulan, who's been on the show from Virtue in Belfast, and you kind of did his Irish Warrior Kettlebell program, didn't you? Is that right? Which was
I did that last November.
Yeah. So how did you find that kind of? Because obviously we know Finn, and I've known Finn for years, and obviously I know Paul, and they're kind of connected, and they're quite hard characters, aren't they? You know what I mean, in terms of what they expect of you, and like you said, they're not touchy-feely caring kind of coaches. They'll just say do this, and they don't want excuses, you know. So how did you find sort of going down that route and working within, and like Paul said, actually probably taking your level of commitment up from being a kind of a recreational exerciser, trainer, someone who wants to stay fit, to actually look to sort of take it to the next level and with an eye on performance?
So I found him after he did the podcast with you. So I listened to that and just thought it was brilliant, like, just because he's no nonsense, which I don't like to be, touchy-feely. That sort of stuff. I want someone that's going to push me if I'm going to do it. But because I was training for the Strong First certification, SFG1, I didn't reach out to him until after that. So I just watched what he did for a while and just sort of followed him. And then I reached out just after I'd done the SFG1, so end of October, I think it was, last year. He did not make it easy for me to join him. So he asked a lot of questions about why I wanted to do it, what my goals were, whether or not I was really committed to it, what I thought I would get from it, and what I expected from him. I should really read back the messages that we sent to each other. It was quite scary. I thought he was going to tell me no. So he asked a lot of questions, and then I joined his 12-week program, which was great. I really enjoyed that. I was still using the cast iron bells, so like the hard style bells throughout that. I hadn't touched any of the competition style bells, but did the whole thing with cast iron because that's what I was used to, and it was just, for me, it was easier because I didn't know if I wanted to carry on. Then I completed it and did my first pentathlon on my own in the gym, staring at a wall, which was really, really tough because it's like, I think the whole thing's about 50 minutes and it hurts. And it's really tiring, and I was on my own, and it was hard not to just put it down because I'd had enough. But I did that. And then a few days later, he invited me to come and work with him if I wanted to. Said I had good potential and that he'd like to coach me. And yeah, I've been doing that since February now. We've been working together.
Yeah. And what was the experience of your first competition that you did fairly recently over in Ireland? Do you want to kind of tell us about that? And was it what you expected? Did it vary from what you expected? And if so, how? And how you felt before, during, after? Just to kind of frame that up a bit for us.
Yeah, so I went over to Ireland in May to compete. No, July. Sorry, I don't know what month we're in anymore. Yeah, July to compete. So I went to Belfast to meet Finn, and then we went to Kilkenny to compete in a pentathlon competition.
And that was the first time you'd ever met him in person, wasn't it? You'd never met him in person before that.
Yeah.
How was that actually meeting him, having worked with him for months and months, sort of online and stuff?
Weird. It was nice. Yeah. His accent's a lot stronger when he's excited to meet everyone, so it's really hard to understand him a lot. But no, it was really nice. It was good to properly meet him, and thankfully I get to again next month. So that was good. So yeah, we went over. We both competed. I competed for his team, Virtue. Yeah, it was good. It was difficult. It was really difficult. It was completely out of my comfort zone because it was a long time standing up on a platform. Competing. I hurt my hands quite badly in the first section, so the cleans right in the first section. I tore both of my hands in a couple of places, so it made the whole thing very, very sore.
How come you tore them? What was it? Just you didn't have enough chalk, or? Yeah,
I think it's different bells. The bells I'm not used to using. It was really hot. It was really hot in there.
A lot of friction.
Yeah, so they just tore. I don't know. I think maybe my technique probably went out the window slightly because the adrenaline was going. It was a bit of a blur, to be honest. It was. He said to set up the platform like it would be you were training in the gym, but I couldn't envisage how that was supposed to look because it's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I got national levels and got silver in my category, so I did well. It wasn't quite what I wanted because my hands were so sore. By the time I got to the half snatch, like doing half snatches on hands that are completely ripped.
So starting your set with already ripped hands is
it's gonna hurt.
That's like starting running a marathon with, I don't know,
blisters,
like one of your toenails off or a big blister on your foot, isn't it? Right at the start from the first step, that's horrible.
Yeah. So tearing them at the start meant I had 4 more exercises still to do, 4 more lifts still to do with hands that were really sore. Yeah. So it was tough.
Did they let you tape them at all? Or once you?
Yeah. So by the push press at the end, I had to bandage them up because they were really bad. They just kept ripping, and with every repetition, they were just getting worse and worse.
I mean, I think the thing is when you do, like when you're going to take something to a high level, it's like swinging a kettlebell in a class and it's getting really good at it. But then when you go to that competitive level, you're suddenly thinking not only about how do I, get stronger, look better, but you're thinking about how do I create efficiencies? How do I tweak this little technique? So did you find yourself getting down a little rabbit hole in terms of like, how can I change my finger position? How can I do this? How can I change the way I do things to get that level of performance? It went beyond just working hard in a session to finding those little technique tips and tricks and things like that.
Yeah, you had to, otherwise you just couldn't go on. So it was just moving the hands slightly, which then made it sore in other places. But I mean, I got through it. I did all the 5 lifts. I had to put down on the half snatch after halfway through because it was just too painful. But then bandaged up and carried on with the push press for the full 6 minutes afterwards. So, but it was amazing. I mean, there was so much support. I had Ben Morris, who was on the show.
Friend of the show, friend of the show.
Yeah, he was stood in front of me, like during my half snatch, just telling me just to keep going. Like, it's just, I know it hurts, but just keep going. And he was really helpful because I think I wouldn't even have picked it up if he hadn't have been there. So
was there a lot of noise? Was there a lot of sort of cheering? Was there a lot of kind of energy when you were doing the actual event, in the hall or wherever you were? Was there?
Yeah, there was a lot of people there and the loud music, and it was great. The atmosphere was amazing. Everyone was so supportive. Like, even though we were sort of competing against each other, everyone was just cheering everyone on. There was no like rivalry or anything like that. It was amazing.
Yeah,
It must have been better music than the Russian kettlebell events, where it's like it's like some weird kind of Euro pop acid techno that's usually there. So I'm just that's the only downside I think to kettlebell sport is often the music selection.
No, this was like shouty rock. It was good.
Dear me. And I mean, the thing is that the way you're describing this, Lauren, you must have always had, like you said, you're competitive, but I think that people, unless they've, it's like anything, isn't it? Unless you've tried something yourself and then you have some knowledge of it or some reference point of it, it's very hard to say, because some people might be listening to this and hearing you talk and you say, oh yeah, your hands were a little bit sore, you know, but you carried on. But it's sort of like, unless you've actually done, like say, a snatch test and tore your hands and kept going, you've got no concept of what it actually feels like. And I think for you to actually do that in what is a, you know, it's a recreational sport, you know, you're an amateur athlete, essentially you're doing it for fun, you know, so you're not getting anything out of it apart from, you know, the joy of competing and the sense of, you know, self-fulfillment and all the rest of it. So to actually push yourself through that much discomfort, I think there's a very small percentage of the population that would do that. Same as like running a marathon or you know, whatever you're talking about, you know, 1% of the population, if that, you know, would go through that. So you've obviously got this kind of strength there that you can and resilience that you can draw upon and put in. I mean, have you always been that I know with your career you're very successful and have you always been that determined, you know, to see something through if you say you're going to do it?
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's like A-type, isn't it? When you're always driven to be the best at whatever you're doing. I'm not very good at losing. I'm not very good at not being good at things, which my personal trainer Russell tell you. Not very good when I'm not very good at something.
So how do you deal with that when you're in a group? So say like when you're doing group class or something like that, and you could tell there's some, because you can get different personalities in the group, and you know, sometimes you get people and they're rolling their eyes at an exercise or they're not really putting their effort in. How do you deal with that when you're training in groups and things like that?
I just think everybody's different, and I'm not competing against anybody else, especially at the gym. So yeah, it's just finding ways for everyone to enjoy it in their own way. And not everyone's the same, you know. Some people don't look like they're having fun, but maybe they are. You know, it's just the way they are.
I think that because I know as well you're now doing, you know, full pull-ups, aren't you, which has been a long time coming, and like you say, that kind of, I think it's going back, this conversation I only referenced it because it was the last podcast I recorded before I went on holiday with Pete, but that feeling of, you know, it takes a long time to get to say one chin up, and then to get to 2 chin ups and 3 chin ups, and then it takes a long time to get to 1 pull up, and most people are not prepared to put in the time to actually learn a skill and develop a strength and actually take, you know, potentially, you know, a year or more than a year, 18 months, 2 years to actually get good at something, to actually get 1 rep at something, because it's this instant, you know, gratification that, and it's learning a skill, you know. So you're definitely doing things different than most people. I know when we talk to people on the podcast, obviously a lot of the people we talk to have got a similar kind of mindset, so it can sometimes feel that everyone has that mindset. But just talking to, for example, like I mentioned earlier, Steve this morning was talking about kettlebells, and he said, oh, well, to begin with, I didn't really feel like I wasn't getting a good workout, you know, because he wasn't coming out sweating at the end. But I was like, well, it's learning a skill, you know, and you have to put in the time to learn the skill. And then if you learn the skill, then you can start to work a little bit harder, but you can't just go in and start working hard at something that you've got no skill base on, can you?
Yeah, that's something I was actually talking to Steve about at the end of my course. He just finished doing my course a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, now I understand why you taught it the way you taught it, because you can't start at the end. You have to start from the beginning. You can't do a swing, you're not going to be able to do a snatch. You know, if you can't do, a squat, you're not going to be able to, you know, do a single arm squat or an offset or anything like that. You have to learn it in a particular order. You can't just be good at it straight away. But yeah, we're on the workout classes now, so I think he's quite enjoying them.
Oh, he loves it. No, he was singing your praises. He said he loved it. And he said he really enjoyed it. But he just said it took him the first couple of weeks to kind of recalibrate his brain and his thinking to, right, I'm not just coming in here and I'm not just going to kind of, you know, leave feeling like I've trained really hard, because, you know, it's different, isn't it? And I think that's the thing. It's about having that path or that journey. And, you know, you started where he's starting, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know, and now you're, you know, competing in kettlebell sport, but you couldn't just turn up one weekend and compete at kettlebell sport. It's not going to happen, is it? So
no.
That's fantastic.
It's the same as like the pull-ups that you mentioned. Like, so I've been working on pull-ups for about 18 months. And I think, I worked for about 6 months, still was nowhere near, threw a massive tantrum, didn't train him for about 6 months, like a massive tantrum. Didn't train for about 6 months, refused to do them because I was in such a mood about it, and then have just been working on them and getting stronger and just realising it's not going to come easily. And now I'm doing sets of 2 and hopefully 3 coming up soon. So getting there. And
they mean so much more, don't they? When it takes you that long to achieve something. It's like we've spoke about it on here before, you know, like with like the 1 arm, 1 leg press up or pistol squat or learning a bent press or learning whatever, you know, it's so much more. The struggle makes it more satisfying, doesn't it? You know, because when you do get it, it's like, I've worked for that and I've got it, you know, and it's great. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good. So what do you think, what's the future for you? I mean, obviously in the immediate future, you've got your next competition coming up in September.
Yeah, so this year so far I've got my next competition. Well, I finished my course, my studying that I'm studying at the moment, next week hopefully, maybe the week after, depending on work.
Yeah.
Then I've got my competition in September for Kettlebell Sport, so another pentathlon, which is the UK one. Then November is the SFL, so Strong First Lifters, so the barbell instructor certification. That's it for this year, so I'm good. And I might go on holiday. Take a break. I might actually have a holiday.
When did you go on holiday? Kind of Christmassy time or before? Or
yeah, just before probably, and just go somewhere hot where I'm going to do absolutely nothing, not train. Take a break, because I haven't had a break this year because I've done a lot of certifications and competitions this year. I've not had time to have a holiday this year.
Yeah. And
so
are you doing a half marathon next year? Are you doing
Yeah. About that,
because you did the half. You trained for a half marathon, didn't you? You did that, and you're doing that again. So that's, you know, something totally different, isn't it?
So I did the half marathon so I did it on my own without like doing it as an organised event, and ran, because lockdown you couldn't go to the gym, so I tried to run. I managed half a marathon from then. Then the one that was planned for last March, I caught COVID a couple of weeks before it, so I wasn't well enough to actually do the proper Chelmsford half marathon. So I've signed up for next year's one, so I promised I would do it with Steve in March next year. So I've got to start training for that once competition season's over.
And then will it be more kind of kettlebell sport next year, do you think, or do you see this as being something that's going to become like a regular part of something that you do? Is it going to become a long-term thing, or what's the view on that?
I hope so. In honesty, I hope so. I plan to do it for the next couple of years, providing nothing goes wrong. I'm really enjoying it. It's my sport, I think. Like, it's my thing. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not bad at it. I enjoy working with Finn, which is really good. And I've made some really good friends doing it, which is lovely. I see myself doing it for a while, and then veteran age is 40 with Kettlebell Sport, so if I just hold on a little bit longer, I can get less points and get higher ranks. So if I hold on for like another 2.5 years, I'll become a veteran, and then don't have to score as many points to do as well. So that's the plan for the fitness side of things. And I still want to carry on studying a little bit, so I'm going to, once I finish this course next week, I plan on taking the rest of the year off from studying, because I've been studying for the past 18 months, doing like the nutrition followed by the sleep, stress and recovery. And then I'm either looking at another nutrition course or maybe like a female coaching course from January, but I need to look into it a bit to see what's around and what's good and worth doing.
So do you see sort of long-term, mid to long-term, that is kind of coaching and working with others something that you want to do as you go forward, or is it more you're doing the education stuff for your own kind of personal development and knowledge and all the rest of it and your own passion? Or is it something that you down the line you might want to do more of? I mean, where's your thinking around that?
Yeah, I do. I have a job. I have a full-time job that is comfortable, it pays well, and I've got a mortgage, so it's not as easy to just change careers.
Oh, I know you can't just give everything up and start coaching. Yeah.
But the nutrition side of things, I'm definitely interested in taking a bit further, even if it's on top of what I do full-time.
Yeah.
At work, because I just find it really interesting, and I think nutrition's something that's really messy in the fitness industry, and people have got their own opinions on it. But I quite like an objective opinion on this one, because I've, being female, you've done every diet under the sun, and it's work. Like, the reason I started studying is to work out why they were sort of marketed the way they were. So why Weight Watchers had points, why Slimming World has sins, why all these sorts of things, just to work out why these things, how they work. And I'm really interested in that, actually. It's quite been quite good.
And have you found that from doing this or study yourself, has it changed your own, the way that you kind of eat and fuel yourself and things like that, around training and things? Or have you already implemented the stuff you've learned with yourself? Or
so my meal timings definitely, and what I eat and when I eat it, it's definitely, I implement those. So I tend to have carbs a couple of hours before I train, because my training sessions are quite tough, and then prioritizing protein and calorie deficit when I need to lose weight to get into a particular category for my competitions.
Because that's the other thing, isn't it? Yeah, you're in a kind of a weight category sport, aren't you now? So you've got, you it's not just eat what you want and get stronger. It's kind of get stronger and kind of maintain a weight where you are, or sometimes even bring it down a touch, isn't it? So
because the women's category is, I think, is below 60 it's quite good, like the big bands. There's below 60 kilos, 60 to 70, and then 70 plus. Whereas if I go into the 70 plus, which I sit quite comfortably around 70, I'm going to be the lowest weight there, which means I'm not lifting as heavily, and I'm going to be going up against people who are quite a lot heavier than me, who are lifting heavier kettlebells than me. And it doesn't get judged on my body weight there. It's just I'm in that category. So I try to keep myself in the middle. You could be against
someone who's 80 or 90 or 100 kilos, couldn't you? Who's got the capacity to just deal with heavier weights because of their much bigger people, bigger body size,
So if I sit in the 60 to 70, it's quite nice because I'm nearer the top of that range. So that means that I can lift heavier than a lot of people in it, which is good.
Yeah, excellent. And I know you do share a lot of your training and stuff, don't you, on your on Instagram and things, I think is your weapon of choice for that. So I know you're not a trainer and you're not looking for business and stuff, but if people want to kind of have a little look at your Kettlebell Sport and your training and your journey and things like that, what's the Instagram handle that you use? Do you know what it is off the top of your head?
I think it's L Emery 84. L Emery 84, I think. So
at L Emery 84. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
We're on here at the moment. I will just have a look at that, and I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, at L Emery 84. Fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah, so that's most of my just training basically. It's pretty all I do.
Yeah, but it's good. It's really good because I love seeing all your training posts and stuff on there, because you're always putting on, and showing the exercises you're doing and talking about comps and sharing photos and things, which is fantastic. Yeah, no, it's really, really good. It's really good. Oh, it's really lovely to talk to you, Lauren. Really, really lovely to sort of share where you're at, and I hope everything goes well for the next comp, which is only how many weeks away is it now? About 4 weeks?
5.5.
5.5 weeks away. Okay. Brilliant. Paul, have you got anything you'd like to kind of say or ask or finish on as we start to wrap up?
Well, it's the hope for every trainer that you give your clients a sense of empowerment around their own health, and they can run with that momentum. You know, all you can do is put things in front of people, and it's up to them to see what they like out of about what you're giving them, see what they like to keep, what they're willing to run with. So it's always great to hear a story of someone who's gone, okay, I can do something with this. I'm going to take this and run with it and see where I can go. Because that's what you hope for your clients, you know, to suddenly find that enthusiasm. You know, perhaps you found that enthusiasm yourself, and it's great to see in other people, because it's like why you do it, isn't it? So yeah, and I've trained with Lauren. We did the course with Dave Cohen together, didn't we? So, and we also had one of those massive barbecues that James took us to, which is great. So yeah, it was good. Well, I don't know what it's called, the meat shack. It's got I don't know.
Oddfellows Arms. We'll give Oddfellows Arms a little shout out. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
So it's great to hear you're competitive. I keep meaning to do some competitions, but I've been training more for the double bell stuff. So, but I think one thing about the kettlebell sport is it's pretty disorganized. So it's good to see they've finally got they've got something that's kind of bigger than 2 men and a dog. And this 80 competitors should be really fun. It's what the sport needs, because there's loads of people into it. It needs to coalesce around some kind of organization. So, you know, good luck for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a little look, Paul, and see, because it's on a Saturday, like we say, in Northampton, so it's not a million miles away. We'll see, maybe. And is Ben going to be competing at that one again?
Yep.
You know, Ben Morris, yeah. Okay, and Finn's actually competing as well. Yeah, we'll have to have a little look and maybe have a little road trip.
Maybe take the kids.
Take
Well, my son Ruben is 6 years old. I remember when Paul McElroy and Dennis Vasiliev did their charity event. He was watching it. And actually I took a picture of it, and Paul put it up on Facebook. But he still talks about it. It's funny. He's just like, oh, you know, having said that, he did say, how come your arms aren't as bumpy as Dennis's? So I think he's talking about the size of my biceps, but
dear me. Yeah, so thanks, Lauren. That's great. And it'll be great. We'll obviously give an update when you've done your comp for the listeners, so they'll be able to know how you've done. That's really good. Thank you so much. And it's just it's brilliant to see how you've, you know, like you say, you've got into training, you've become a part of your life, and then you've taken it to that next level of performance and that next level of commitment, which very few people you know, choose to do or want to do. But if you can, the amount of commitment and dedication, like I say, that it takes, because I see it day in, day out. And we're always at the gym, aren't we, at sort of 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning on our own, putting the music on nice and loud, training. But no, it's brilliant. It's inspiring, and hopefully some people listening can see that, you know, you from a very kind of, I suppose, normal working life of doing what lots of people do, you know, down the pub and working hard, you've taken a real sort of a change and then ran with it, and it's created a real shift in you and your future. So thanks so much for sharing your story with us.
No problem.
Cool. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. We will be back next time for episode 106, where it will be myself, Paul, and Pete. It should be a full lot of hosts, and potentially with a guest as well. I have to check when we have got guests booked in the future. It's just having a look at when they are. But thank you very much. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share, like, subscribe, leave a review if you're listening on a platform that allows you to do so. If you'd like to join the Facebook group, just go into groups on Facebook, click on Health Oddity, and ask to join, and we will let you in. And we'll just say goodbye from Mr. Paul Bassett.
Bye.
Goodbye from Lauren Emery.
Bye.
And goodbye from me. We will see you next week. Thank you and goodbye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com, or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.